Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today's game is Ixion. This was an unreleased Sega arcade game that was originally set to be released in 1983, but it never emerged for some reason. There were also ports developed for the Atari 2600, the Atari 8-bit and the Commodore VIC-20, but none of those ever materialised either for some reason. As is usually the case for things that were fully developed but not officially released, though, these managed to find their way out into the wild through various piracy and user groups around the world. This actually has had a commercial release of sorts since then, so Atari A actually took the Atari 2600 prototype, finished it up, polished it off, that sort of thing, and released it as a commercial cartridge. The Atari 8-bit version, meanwhile, is just floating around in disk image or executable format, so you'll have to seek it out yourself. It's a game I very much like though, and I remember enjoying it back in the day, so I thought we'd revisit it today. So let's go play Ixion. Okay, here we are with Ixion, published in 1985 by US Gold, or it was going to be published in 1985 by US Gold, and I'm being harassed by a cat again. If you were with us last week, you will recall that my cat Patty has decided to help. So yeah, watch out for her. Anyway, as we previously said, this was an unreleased Sega arcade game, followed by an unreleased Atari port. So a whole load of unreleased stuff going on here. So, the concept of this game is that you are controlling a robot tank, basically. And your job is to drive around the arena and collect all the letters of the word Ixion for some reason. In the meantime, enemy robots are appearing, and when you destroy them, they blast a hole in the floor. Now, thankfully, you can refill the floor and with these magic balls. They have an official name. I forget what it is. It's something like Kalo balls or something like that. But yeah, all you need to know is that they fill in the holes in the floor. And on bonus rounds like this, you're trying to fill in as many tiles as possible. And the game just continues that way. So there's an interesting and quite unusual control scheme in this. So with the Atari only having a single fire button, and this having 8 directional shooting, they obviously had to get a bit creative with how shooting was handled. So what happens is that while you're moving, you have a fixed angle of shooting, but if you shoot while pushing a direction, you'll turn and face that direction, and that includes diagonally as well. Now that's quite interesting because you can't actually move diagonally, but you can shoot diagonally. And so this bonus stage, we also have these collectible thingies as well that are worth more points. And again, bonus points for however many tiles we manage to heal. And it progresses this way. It's not a terribly difficult game, it has to be said. In that I can generally get quite a long way in this without trying too much. The first time I tried this after not playing it for a very, very long time indeed, I got quite a long way before I even lost a single life. You watch me lose loads of life in rapid succession now. But it's fun. I enjoy this game. And I don't know, I have quite fond memories of this game for quite a strange reason. I mean, when I was growing up with my Atari, as I've mentioned a couple of times before, the vast majority of software that we had was pirate software. And I think the same was true for many people in the 8-bit home computer era. So we didn't buy many games. We got a few as review copies because my father and my brother both wrote for Page 6 magazine, as did I a few years later. But that was well into the ST era by then, so the 8-bit was already declining in relevance by that point. But yeah, what that meant was, by the time I was sort of aware of computer gaming and what the home computers we had to offer, we already had a substantial library of software.
And that library of software didn't change that much over time. We didn't get much new software once I was sort of old enough to appreciate what we had. But there was one occasion in particular that I remember we got some new discs. And it was very exciting. Because they were new discs that were designed to take advantage of the newer 130XE that we had, which had 128K of RAM, and also the US doubler attachment, or I think it was a chip basically that we had for our Atari 1050 disk drive, which allowed for appropriately formatted discs to load super quickly. And these new discs that we got, they were taking full advantage of these things. So we had new discs that would load quickly, that had impressive newer games that I hadn't seen before. And one of those games was Ixion. I can remember the other games on the same disc that we had with this as well. So there was a vaguely Xevious style shoot 'em up called Ispial. There was a side-scrolling platformer called Snowkey that starred a penguin. That might have been it for that desk, but there was... Oh, no. Yeah, but I think Ixion was probably the game I spent the most time with on that disc. Just because I really enjoyed it. I'm not entirely sure what it was about this game that I liked so much. I think it was a combination of factors, really. It was a satisfying arcade-style game. It wasn't quite like anything I'd played before. And then those of you who've been watching this series for a while will know that I've always had weird little things that I've found appealing about certain games. And in the case of Ixion and games like it, I really, really liked games where you collected letters and spelled out words. So obviously a lot of arcade games from the period made use of this to spell out something like extend or extra or something like that to get you an extra life. So Mr. Do is I think the first time I remember seeing that. But in this one, like, the whole point of the game is collecting those letters. You finish the level by collecting all the letters. Oh no! And I really like that. I just found it really appealing for some reason. I guess it's part of like the whole thing with me always being interested in words and writing and that sort of thing, but I just found something really satisfying about making those letters light up at the top of the screen. I think it reminded me of something on television, maybe? Like a game show, perhaps? I forget exactly what it was. I just know that as a youngster, it was something that I really liked. But yeah, as you may have noticed, we now also have a dark red ball as well as our orange ball. And the dark red ball does the opposite of the orange ball, so it erases tiles from the floor instead of filling them in. And it also kills you if you touch it, so don't do that. And so it's an additional hazard you have to pay attention to, especially when you're flinging your shots around the place, because as you've noticed, your shots bounce, and they also fire in multiple directions at once as well. So you don't just fire in a single direction, you have a spread shot. And so you need to take extra special care that you're not just knocking it into yourself. I tell you the other reason that I like this game is the fact that I thought all the backgrounds really reminded me of carpet tiles. And so I think it was probably my grand's carpet tiles or something like that. I just think any time I played this game, it just made me think of my grand's carpet. And similarly, any time I went to visit my nan and saw her carpet, I thought of Ixion. So that was a nice bit of... I don't know what that is. Weirdness. We've all got stories like that of weird associations that we make between things, even when they make no sense, I'm sure. I don't need to know if you don't have any stories like that. Just make me feel better about myself. Oh, we got a red ball. I don't like it when the red ball's on the bonus stages. So it's very easy to accidentally hit it. A bonus stage? You shouldn't be dying on a bonus stage. That's not how they work. Oh, that's an unpleasant setup to begin with, isn't it? So fortunately, the ball actually absorbs your shot. So oh, well, that's a tactic, isn't it? Just send them both flying in the same direction. I actually found that red ball oddly threatening as a child. Oh, and that's it. So there we go. That is Ixion. Oh no, you've got an extra life. So yes, you can indeed get an extra life via the end game bonus in this. Now I'm dead. Okay, as I was saying, that was Ixion, a cancelled Sega arcade game and a cancelled Atari 8-bit game that is still out there in the wild thanks to the efforts of pirates, who says they never do any good. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.